Okay, well, welcome to the next organizers around the world in the OSCE days. I'm here in Berlin, and we Stephen in South Africa. So Stephen's our organizer from Johannesburg. Stephen, maybe you can introduce yourself and let us know what brought you to OSCE days and what your interest in this is.
Okay, my name is Steven. Obviously living in Johannesburg here in South Africa. Um, by trade, I'm an environmental scientist focusing on sustainability footprinting and or sustainability reporting and footprinting. Um, Decided to get involved with OSCE Days through an organization that we started called Institute of Future Living. It's an NGO that I started with Gian. He's in Cape Town. I think he organized the Cape Town event. And Lorata, she helped me organize the Johannesburg event. So we used that organization as our sort of platform in which to get involved with OSCE Days. It was our first day that we hosted, or first time there's one happened in South Africa, first time in Johannesburg. So we used it as a sort of an introduction to get people familiar with OSCE Days, just familiar with the concept, so that maybe when they come back next year, they can have a bit more context as to what the day is trying to achieve, pose challenges themselves. I think when they get familiar with the concept, they can engage with it a lot more and can be a lot more productive. So it was very basic in our um, in our doings, but I think it was really good, positive. Had a very nice day.
Cool. And the participants that you had, what kind of background did they have? Did some of them have a good understanding of circular economy or open source before, or quite new?
It was very new. I think two of the participants were familiar with open source through software, mainly on the computer side of things. So they had an understanding of what open source means and ways in which you can interact with it. Um, and in terms of hardware, no, not really. Anyone had an idea of open source hardware, so that was a new concept. Took them a lot through the open source ecology and that sort of that initiative that has started. So it gave people a tangible sort of concept which to work with. But all in all, no, people were very new to the concept. It's also a circular economy. I mean, they understood recycling and you kind of get the basics of it, but the whole process of remanufacturing, the steps involved, and the butterfly diagram, the nutrient side and the technical side. So all these kind of concepts were brand new to the participants. So it was just good to get a foundation with which everyone can work off.
Much potential in this idea? Are people kind of excited about it, or do you see any real kind of excitement about it, or ways that we developed further?
Yes, there was great excitement around it. I think what was very nice is people were keen to learn about new concepts. I think they get stuck in their 9 to 5 sort of day jobs, and it may not necessarily be in line with what they foresee society to sort of be. So I think it was very positive, and people were keen to learn about it and see that it can benefit themselves as well as uplifting marginalized communities and all those sort of good social dynamics. So in terms going forward, I think people wanted, well, just after the introduction, they introductory day, they wanted more tangible things and call for action and ways in which they can actually engage themselves, and not just a day that you host and then they kind of leave and they don't have anything to work with. So we're really going to try and work hard to get people involved with these kind of initiatives over longer term, so they can continuously help out or get involved with things that interest them. And then hopefully we can take it forward and really engage with products and technologies and that kind of stuff, because right now we don't have very many tangible things in which the guys can actually work with. It's quite, I'd say, theoretical at the moment, and they really enjoyed the theory and they got involved with it, but they almost want to see it progress, and they want more tangible things in which they can engage with.
Well, on the forum that's going as well as projects that are looking for different skills and different backgrounds. So, for example, on developing open source public furniture, ways of improving systems there. And I'm sure there are people in your networks in Johannesburg who might be interested in getting involved with that. So a lot of activity happening from ongoing, not just over this weekend, as we try and develop these things. So long term. But maybe you can tell us a little bit specific challenges or projects you were interested in when you were talking with them.
Okay. So, but before the day started, we didn't pose a challenge online, but I had something in mind which I wanted people to work with. It was trying to create a business model through which GoSol, it's a sort of open source solar, multiple applications from cooking, whatever. So I try to get them to work with a business model and see how you could take this product and make it a viable sort of business proposition within South Africa, whether it's you as an organization trying to get these things out into the communities, or whether people within the communities have access to this technology and then can start a business themselves, such as baking bread or dehydrating fruits or something like that. But so that was the afternoon challenge after we'd explored the concepts of open source circular economy and what it means, and sort of done a bit of brainstorming around that. But what we kind of felt, well, once we engaged with the concept, is that we were trying to push something to a community or to a certain group of people, as opposed to actually meeting with them and seeing what they wanted, and then bringing the problems back into the classroom and then working with it. But so the guys felt like that the challenge was good, and they engaged with the tool called the business model Canvas. Also just something that they could take into their everyday lives and sort of in their workplace, whatever. But that was our challenge, and it more morphed into how to improve the day and what they'd like to achieve from the day. So as much as it was a challenge posed to a specific solution, it was also the challenge more went into how to make the OSCEdays in South Africa better. And we had a large brainstorming session around just taking this sort of first day and expanding it into something greater and better.
Cool. Well, it definitely sounds like there's a lot of crossover between what you're wanting to do and actually what Timothy's been doing in France. Doing some, working with real, integrating with the community, and basically about that process. Well, how you can kind of learn from what you've been doing in France, or maybe you have some questions for Steve.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last bit there. I don't know if it's the internet connection in South Africa which is letting us down.
Yeah, Sam, can you say it again, please?
Yeah, basically, you've been working on the kind of questions that Stephen was just talking about, this idea of rather than trying to develop a solution, deliver it to community instead. Wants to do in Mwanza and I see you've been working on a little bit of your experience doing that over this weekend.
Yeah. So yeah,
questions for Steve about.
Yeah, cool. Connection was still not really good, but I think I got what you meant. So yeah, I kind of I see what you mean, Stephen, because with the same issue, if I can say here. So the idea, so we went to the city in south of France, city where we're not from, and we wanted to study how we can apply circular economy, an open source circular economy on this territory. And it has been really hard to get the attention of people. We managed to do it, but it was really hard to make them understand what we want to achieve. So also our approach was really to prepare the next edition of the OSCEdays there, and really to have concrete stuff to show them for next year. So we initiated a lot of things that we hope they're going to take over after we leave. But the idea was really to make things easy for them to understand. We have a lot of work to do on this part, I think, on the raising awareness part, and also making them understand what is a kind of hackathon. That's really hard for people, I guess. But yeah, I get your point on this, Stephen. I don't have any specific question. I don't know if you have some more, but I guess you covered it pretty well, Stephen.
Well, I hope you're going to be sharing some of the things that did work and some of the things that didn't work, so that can a little bit from your experience. No, maybe we'll finish there. And thanks for joining us, and best of luck for the rest of the OSCE days.